Ember Power here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be going over a GLC standard event that took place on Friday. So whenever this video goes up, I guess, that won't really make any sense. But either way, there was a GLC event that took place throughout standard on Pokemon TCG Live. So I recently made a video where I went over why GLC isn't in the best state right now because, obviously Pokemon TCG Live doesn't have the full expanded format, which is really frustrating. However, I did also point out that the Discard Pile Weekly will be holding their own GLC standard event, basically, just so there's actually a way to play GLC on Pokemon TCG Live. I don't think this is going to be like a very frequent thing because the Discard Pile Weekly, they usually like to do different things every week. But basically, I just wanted to do a tournament review of this because I really didn't do one of them last time, even though I said I was kind of going to do one. So I thought it'd be worth looking at this event. And, it's been a pretty cool event, honestly, to review because, in all honesty, because there's no expanded cards to work with, GLC decks are very different to what they would have been usually. There is still like the same kind of Pokemon that are doing well, but the way that people build them is obviously a fair bit different, and it makes it a bit more creative and a bit more interesting again because we don't really know what the best ways are to play each type are yet. So thought we'd just go over the best decks. So this is the event that actually won the whole event, and the event that won the whole event. It's going to be the grass deck. So this is a grass deck built around Torterra, 50 for every evolution Pokemon you have in play. It also plays Pavilion to do some special condition damage, which is pretty decent. You've got Charm, which can accelerate grass energy, which is nice. You've got the Jumpluff, which can, I believe this Jumpluff can attack twice if it has a Rapid Strike tool card or something attached to it. Yeah. So if it has like the Rapid Strike scroll attack thing, it can attack twice effectively, which is cool. You also have the Eldegoss to search your deck for any 2 basic energy, which is decent. A Celebi for some Pokemon search, and a Zarude as a backup attacker. So definitely decent grass support overall. There isn't like the Venusaur from I forget which set. It's like Shining Legends or something, the Venusaur that doubles grass energy in play. So you do have to be a little bit more creative, but as you can see here, grass still going pretty strong. Also for the trainers is fairly self-explanatory. Stuff like Boss's Orders, Judge, Gloria, Color's Experiment, Roxanne, and Clara. There is notably like so little disruption in standard in terms of supporters because there's no N or Marnie in this format anymore, so you just have to use stuff like Judge, which is interesting, or Roxanne. Also got Gardenia's Vigor for a bit of decent support. Trainers are like pretty similar throughout all the lists, so we definitely won't be going over every single trainer card in every single list, but pretty self-explanatory and mostly trainers from Scarlet and Violet as well, and some pretty interesting cards. So then if we go over to second place, we have a Metal type deck. I really think Metal types needed a way of drawing cards more. That was like their biggest hindrance in GLC, really. And Reverum really boosted them up. Once in your turn, you get to discard an energy card from your hand and drop to 6, which is really solid. Also got like the Dialga from Celebrations, which I guess is a little bit of draw power, I should say, but Metal Blast is probably like why it's in there, to be honest. Decent attack. Also got Zamazenta as a really solid attacker. There's Aggron, which is okay. Klinklang can also accelerate energy. Genzo can accelerate energy. Mellometal is decent wall against Pokemon with abilities, which is cool. Supporters are a little bit different, partially because you have access to Adam or Adaman, which allows you to discard 2 metal energy from your hand and search your deck for any 2 cards, which is a super powerful effect. Also, if you found like the Palpad, you could reuse it effectively, so that's cool, something worth bearing in mind. Also got 2 cards like Pot Helmet to get really tanky. Crystal Cave also can heal damage, so yeah, metal types seem really solid in GLC, to be honest. So that's the second place deck. And the third place deck is a grass deck, I believe. So we want to skip over that one to fourth place, which is a lightning deck. So we just go over here and we get to see. Okay, so this one's like Fluffy with Ampharos. So you got Ampharos is a really solid attacker with Searching Tail, potentially doing 180 damage every turn. But then Fluffy, of course, allowing you to accelerate energy. We've also got cards in here like the Luxray, which is pretty decent, and the Kilowattrel, which is okay. It's got like sniping potential. The Emolga has free retreat, so that's a nice pivot to have. There's also the Miraidon, which also has sniping potential. Pachirisu's decent. Regieleki does decent spread damage. Rotom is like okay. Zapdos boosts the damage of all your basic lightning type attackers, so if you want to attack with Regieleki or Pachirisu, it's a really good option. And then Zeraora doing 30 or 30 more if your opponent's active as an evolution. Also pretty solid. As for some trainers, we have some like more interesting ones. I don't think many lists like really bothered with stuff like Friends of Sinnoh or Zistu, so that's kind of interesting to see. And for item cards and tool cards, a little bit different actually. Playing Emergency Jelly, Vitality Band, and Defiant Band, so definitely got a lot of options here. And Gift Energy and Lucky Energy for special energy, so yeah, seems pretty cool to be honest. Not sure how good lightning types are realistically in this format now, but I guess they're decent. So that's fourth list, so we can then look at 5. And 5 is okay, so 5 is actually water, so there's a decent amount of variety. Only 2 grass decks in top 4, I believe, so that's like decent variety, I would say. And then the water deck in 5th place. So we've got a Basculegion with Grudge Dive is pretty powerful. The Cetitan with Swinging Tackle doing 200 damage is a lot. So no Wailord, I guess because you can't really power it up easily, so there's no point in playing Wailord without Frostmoth or Blastoise. We also have the Dugong with Flow Return, which is pretty strong. There's a Kingdra, which is pretty strong. Empoleon is decent draw power while also doing decent sniping. Also can be cheated out into play, which is really cool. And we've also got a Sobble and Inteleon, but no Drizzile because there isn't any Drizzile. That one rotated out, so you just have to rely on a single rare candy to get it out and play, which seems super sketch, but it is a decent ability to have if you do get it out. Also got the Finion to charge up energy to Dugong, which seems like a super risky strategy to be honest, but it is there as a nice option. And then the Articuno with a Polarisis, so it's pretty cool to see. Obviously, like, water types are significantly weaker now because they don't have Blastoise or Frostmoth. So yeah, pretty cool though. I do like the Empoleon. It's a very cool card to have. So Zizu was 5th, or Zio. So number 6 was West London Joe. Assuming that's not Joe from Omnipoke. Be fun if it was. But then we see a Psychic deck. So continuing to show decent variety in the event. Features the Hatterene, which is pretty cool. We've also got a Golurk and a Shining Arcana Gardevoir with Refinement Curlia. Pretty self-explanatory. You expect to see that in most Psychic GLC decks, to be honest. Also got the Drifloon and Drifloon, which is really cool. Even have the Uxie with Wild Guidance. Search your deck for a card and put it into your hand, which is nice. Got the Wobbuffet with Mirror Pain. Pumpkaboo for some stadium removal. Deoxys is super interesting. Does that mean they're playing the... Yes, okay, so they are playing the Fusion Strike energy. So you can use Deoxys to hit for 160, which is cool. And then playing the Glaring Articuno for some spread. Also playing the Cook to heal 70, which is like kind of wild. I guess all of your attackers are kind of like high HP because they all evolve basically. Apart from like Articuno and Deoxys, all your Pokemon are evolutions, so they naturally are a bit tankier than normal. So being able to cook is cool. Also having the Golok to do decent damage if it has a tool card attached to it is pretty inspired. Although this deck questionably only plays 1 tool card, so it's a little bit sketch, but I think it's pretty cool either way. It's nice to see Psychic doing well. So that was number 6, and then we can look at number 7. And this is another metal deck, so we'll just glance over this one. Don't have to look at the image, I don't think. It's playing a Heatran, which is cool. Got the Mawile, the Skarmory. I think the Bronzong allows you to move energy. Actually, I'll just check out the deck, because I'm not sure if that Bronzong allows you to... It's either move energy or retrieve energy. I can't remember which one it is. Alright, yeah, so we can just move around energy. Okay, that's cool. And then the Heatran does... Oh, don't want to grab it. Does 80 damage, and then if it has any... I think it's fire energy, it does 80 more. So, okay, so they are playing like an impact energy, so that's kind of interesting. Wait, so... I'm not sure if Heatran can actually attack, though, because I'm pretty sure... Fusion, impact energy, rather. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Not sure why they have the Heatran, but it's an option, I guess, to use. Pretty similar to the other metal deck, in all honesty. Very few things are actually that different. Still running the Dialga, got the Zamazenta, which is cool. The Mawile and Skarmory are both okay. Still got the Adaman because it's really strong. Yeah, metal types seem really solid. And I think that was Phantom Master. Was it Tresmor? Trezor. I'm like butchering these pronunciations. Okay, so this is the dark deck. And we've got a King Gambit in here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so King Gambit increases your basics attacks by plus 30 damage. So it turns most basics into really solid attackers. So we have stuff like Assyrian Quillfish could be a funny attacker, but then stuff like Moltres, of course, which is very, very strong. Stuff like Hoopa, which is okay, and Absol, which is like probably one of your best, like probably your best basic attacker, truthfully. There's also stuff in here which is cool, like the Golbat and Crobat for some draw power. I would have liked to see the Crobat that, can take extra prize cards if you knock out something with 30 HP or less remaining, which is really cool. But either way, still got some cool stuff for dark types. There's no Gluttony Guzzlord, which is like the best dark deck in GLC by far. So you do have to like rely on different things instead. And having stuff like Zork is still pretty cool though, being able to switch into any stage 1, so you can potentially, like it potentially means that you can reuse like King Gambit, for example, if your opponent knocks it out, because then at that point you only have to shuffle King Gambit back into your deck and recycle it, because you don't have to bring back Pawnyard. You can just use Zork to turn into Bishop. So that's pretty cool, at least worth mentioning. Is there a dark patch in here though? Because I don't think there. Oh yeah, there was. That's cool. Okay, so they do have the dark patch. I think initially when I looked at this list, I for some reason didn't see the dark patch, and I was like wondering why they didn't have it, but they do have it. But yeah, pretty cool. Do like me a good dark deck. So if we go back here, and just 2 decks remaining. I think the last one is a fire deck. But then I don't remember what 9th place was. 9th place. What was this? Oh, it was colorless, of course. Okay, so colorless is, I think, substantially weaker because there's no Porygon 2. So there's no like real way to accelerate energy outside of using something like Archeops. But this person has gone for no energy acceleration at all, it seems. And they're just going for different attackers. So we've got Hisuian Bravery, which is pretty solid, to be honest. Blissey is okay, just because it's like very tanky. Bibarel is still very good draw engine. Altaria can move damage counters and heal, which is decent. Dunsparce remove weakness is pretty cool, even though there was like no fighting decks, I don't think, in this tournament, which is strange. Kind of strange, I guess. Regigigas is pretty solid, actually. It's like not the worst. Snorlax is definitely a strong attacker, but there's no way to charge it up properly, so it is at least a little bit weaker. Squirvet's pretty cool in combination with Barrel. Tornadus is essentially Forced Gust. Shaman is decent in the early game, and Spinda also can spread some damage better in the early game, I guess. But yeah, honestly, I really like colors types in GLC, like in standard GLC, because they don't have Porygon 2, and they're not working with expanded Special Energy. So there's like a lot less stuff that they get to work with. And this person's gone for some really creative routes, like they're using Fighting Energy so they can take advantage of Lake Cutie to take 20 less damage from attacks, which is cool to see. So honestly, a very cool list overall. Definitely like it because, I think Colossus is kind of busted in GLC, to be honest, but yeah, it's definitely a more balanced version of it. And then we see, I believe this was fire. Yeah, so we've got a fire deck. Also playing some water energy. That's interesting to see what that's about. So why are you playing water energy? Oh, it's for Volcanion. Oh, okay. Yeah, so there's a Volcanion here that does 80 damage and then 80 more if it has any water energy attached to it. Oh, okay, that's why. Okay, so we got a Armorage line. This person is playing 2 Charcadets. I'm not sure if that's... Yeah, that's definitely not supposed to be how you play GLC, yeah. For those of you who don't know, even if a card does a different thing, you can't play more than 1 copy of a Pokemon card. So unfortunately, you can't play, one of each different Charcadets. Like, you can only play 1 named Charcadet in your deck, just if you're curious. But yeah, that's super unfortunate. Hopefully that didn't mean that they had to... like lose all the... Wait, how did they... 0-2-0 drop. Yeah, okay. So maybe they were kicked out the event or something, but it's unfortunate if they were, but yeah, it's a shame. But either way, do playing the Armorage, which is cool. Scalderage is interesting because it's quite bulky, can also accelerate energy. Houndoom doing 150 for 3 is actually pretty solid. Salazzle is... I'd say Salazzle is actually underwhelming. There's probably some better fire types you could be playing. Charizard is decent, like really solid actually. Does 170 for 2 fire energy effectively, thanks to its ability. Can also like power up heat more, which is cool. Volcanion, again, doing 160 if it has a water energy. Moltres can boost damage from basic fire types. Growlithe is in here just to be another basic. It's kind of like filler, I think. At that point, you're probably just better off playing like more trainers or something. And then Torkoal is okay if you get Charizard going, but yeah. Fire type's definitely substantially weaker in standard GLC, but unfortunate that they ended up playing 2 copies of the Charcadet. But yeah, that's going to be the tournament review for standard GLC. I'm not seeing any other like events using these rules, so I don't know if it's going to be a frequent thing or not. I would be interested to see if it was, because I would definitely participate in it if it was going to be frequent. But yeah, it's been our power. Let me know what you think of this down below. And yeah,